Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. It's Friday, June the 5th. It's Good morning, everybody. It's Friday, June the 5th. That was so interesting. I totally forgot that I had that little hello. Welcome, everybody. So welcome to Friday. It is June the 5th. It's 11:01 a.m. here in Calgary, Alberta. And I have a very special guest today for my Reclamation Through Grace podcast. This is edition number 2. And I am so grateful that Debbie Labinski, all of you that follow me know our Debbie. We are also known as your Shine Sisters. And it's been a while since we've been together. And I knew that I wanted Debbie, and she was busy last month. So we planned for today. We're going to talk Reclamation Through Grace. And you might be asking, what is that? It's a new framework where we move from rupture to radiance. And if any of you follow Debbie on her social media, you know how she's been radiating her life in a big way over this last year. So welcome, beautiful Debbie. Good morning, honey.
Good morning.
You look so beautiful in pink.
Thank you so much. You look beautiful.
I was like, what am I made everybody laugh on Monday night at Women Talk because I was all in black, and I don't know why I felt so strongly guided to black, but it was like I had all my ancestors with me, and it was like that old Italian part of me just wanted to wear black. It was rainy. But I did say, even in my talk, with my Debbie, and you had called me that night, but you were so gracious, you didn't say anything.
Never.
But I had said to the ladies, my Debbie does not like black.
I would never take someone else's spotlight or, their shine away from them. If that's what you felt guided to, I trust your intuition more than I trust mine. So,
I love you. So thank you for joining us today, everybody. Debbie's a spiritual teacher, angel, intuitive, psychic medium. And she's recently just left a job in retail, but I think that is a path that she's looking at again. She's an amazing stylist. And as you can see, she always dresses impeccable. And it always elevates me to show up just a little bit shinier when I get to sit next to her or I'm in her energy in any way, shape, or form. Today, I want to turn it over to you, Deb. I really like to talk off the cuff. So I'm just going to share what the 6 steps of the Reclamation Through Grace framework are. And then I would love for you to just speak from your heart as to this process. So the steps are, what's your rupture? So what breaks you open? And then how did you have to, or what revelations did you see? Did you become aware of? How did you regulate yourself within that awareness? And then how did you root yourself? And how did you rebuild, all while radiating your light? So let's go to the beginning. I know I have your notes, but I want them to hear your voice, not mine.
So I would say my rupture started in 1992 when I was 19, and I was not in a healthy relationship, but at the time I didn't know it wasn't healthy. And I ended up, I was in a long-term relationship thinking I was going to marry this guy, and ended up getting pregnant. And then about 5 months into the pregnancy, things went down, and I ended up having a stillborn at 22 weeks, and his name is James Phillip. And so that ruptured me for a long time, from the age of 19. And then I would say in 2014, so I carried a lot of shame and guilt and wonder about what I did to make that happen. And so that's very heavy. And I didn't gain a lot of weight during that time, but I did choose to do other things that weren't healthy for me, to carry that guilt, to be able to kind of push that down. But there's this visual that I get from, I remember when, I think it was Sunny Dawn Johnston, and she talked about when you're pushing down the pain, it's like a beach ball going under the water. It's going to keep coming to the surface. And so different things kept coming to the surface, whether it was me attracting not great relationships or what have you. So fast forward, let's get to 2014, which is when I was invited to this energy circle, and this gal, Carlene is her name, turned to me after this energy circle. And I had not been in, I mean, I was kind of like dabbling in the spiritual world, but I'm very Catholic, very Christian, very God-based. So that was kind of iffy for me. But then I was like, you know what? It got my interest. I saw my friend had posted on Facebook, and I saw orbs on this video that she had posted. I was like, what's that all about? And she goes, oh, this is my friend Carlene, and she does energy circles and she does mediumship readings. And I'm like, well, I don't think I want a mediumship reading, but I am interested in doing this energy circle because that would be really cool. So I went. This woman is just genuine and authentic and safe, and she did it in her own home. And she did it in a group setting. And I had some pretty amazing experiences. But one particular night, she turned to me and she said she doesn't do readings in gallery, right? So it was just the energy circle, and she sits in the center and she does her due diligence. But for some reason that night, she turned to me and she started talking to me about who I had in spirit. And I was very hesitant because at the time I was, again, like, no, I don't know. But then there was something that softened my heart, and she had brought up James Phillip, and then ended up giving me a message that really softened my heart and allowed me to forgive the experience and forgive myself. And I actually felt like a wave go through me, the shame and the guilt kind of just drop. Like it dropped from my crown chakra, my head, like stuck in there. And then it dropped down to my heart. And then pretty soon it kind of just dropped away. So I don't have any guilt or shame about that experience anymore.
Beautiful.
I can talk about it freely. I can talk about it without crying, because it taught me, number one, that love never ends.
Right.
That's part of your messaging, and that spirit does exist. And then what purpose was brought out of that, right? And the purpose was, that was his way. He was already in spirit and he came through me, and now I'm aware of him. He is part of me, I am part of him, and we are part of each other. And now he's one of my children's guides, right? So yeah, it was a traumatic experience that ruptured me considerably. But so now, and then back into your, so in the tools, what it opened up for me is I realized that I didn't have to be afraid of the spirit world, and I didn't have to carry the shame and guilt of my human experience that I had. And that became a very big part of my identity, and it didn't have to be anymore. And I could release that part of that identity, and I could embrace it. And so that's when I started getting into learning that I had my own spiritual insights.
Right.
And so I started learning my tools, right? And talking about tools, I started taking classes, and I started going to those energy circles, and I learned how to do them myself. And, and it just opened up a whole new world for me.
Well, 19 is very young. You were a young woman, right? And to have a stillborn, did you name him right away when you had him?
Well, so my dad's name is James, and the guy that my boyfriend at the time, was named James as well. And then my brother was the second closest male in my life. So then I named him James Phillip after my dad and my brother and the father.
Because I know even being with you in many different situations, he comes up a lot in your energy. And so, yeah, I've known about James, and I think it's so beautiful because a lot of times women have stillborns and they don't name the children. The fact that you do, it gives him a particular vibration that, it's such a beautiful thing. So if people that are online or that are going to feel guided to watch the replay, if you've ever had a stillborn, a lot of mediums do say that they wish to be named. They want to be a part of your family. Would you say that that's true for you? Like you felt that?
I didn't know it at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I named them because I would name any child that I would have had. You know, even if it was a miscarriage. Actually, I did have two miscarriages, one before that and one after, or two after that. I didn't name, well, I did name one of them, but because he was a twin. I was supposed to be,
Oh.
I was pregnant with twins, and one passed at 6 weeks, and then James passed it where he actually came through. So, and I don't, but I don't know, based off of other people's connections to that pregnancy. I haven't got a clear answer if it was a girl or a boy.
Oh.
So, but I did say Faith because I've always wanted to have a daughter named Faith. And so I was like, well, if it's Faith. So yeah, I was actually pregnant with twins. I can't imagine what I would have done with my life if I would have had twins with the guy that I was with. So I know that it was meant to be. It was meant to be. He was just meant to come. They were meant to get my attention and come through me, but not be with me in human form forever.
So looking back on that part of your life, what revelations would you say that God brought you in the fact that you had this experience with a child that came through, but that wasn't viable? How would you say that you had a revelation, so to speak, or some clarity around it?
Well, of course, now my revelation is God knows exactly what he's doing. He knew exactly what I could handle, and there was no way I could have handled that, because I would have ended up being a single mother. That person I was with was having other relations with other people the whole time. So here I was a very loyal girlfriend, and that's the kind of person that I am. When I'm committed, I'm very, very loyal. I had a lot of trust. And so I would say some revelations is trust my spirit,
right?
Trust in spirit, and trust your gut, you know, because anytime that I would question myself or question the situation, I would just kind of push it down. There's a lot of that, right? A lot of that people pleasing. And I would say some of the revelation is you can people please, but don't do it at the sacrifice of your own joy and happiness. And God gave me the opportunity to have a soul experience as well. And at the time I didn't understand it. Yeah. So I think my revelation is that it opened me up to be able to become a spiritual advisor. It just took me a long time to get it and to trust myself.
And would you say, Deb, because 19 is young in a woman's life, and when I look at how far, you know, you've come in your spiritual journey, when you look back on that, and I'm sorry if you told me that it was twins, I don't remember that part.
I never told you.
Oh, okay. I was like, I was going to say I'd forgotten that, but it's a beautiful thing to look back on now, because as spiritual teachers, we have learned that those souls chose you to have an experience. And a lot of times it is just for a finite period of time. And I say that with so much love and respect and reverence to the divine, because I recognize that now as a spiritual teacher. I may not have necessarily understood that as a 19-year-old young woman being in a relationship with a young man that was not as devoted as you are, even to this day. And then to know that you had twins. So how would you say, Deb, okay, so the fracture was losing the baby at 6 weeks, and then James being stillborn, and being 19 and recognizing that the man that you thought was somebody that, you know, you loved, because babies are creations of love. And how would you have regulated your energy, or did you even recognize that you needed to regulate it? How did you feel during that time, or even subsequently when that comes up for healing?
You mean, how did I feel during or after?
Both, because I think a lot of people need to hear that. That's a hard one. A parental loss.
Was alone. It was very difficult for my parents to go through that, and as well, it was difficult for them to witness their daughter going through something like this, and so it really was never talked about again. And I remember being alone. I had moved back in with my parents because at the time I was living with my boyfriend. Again, we were supposed to, I wore one of his grandfather's rings, and we weren't engaged or anything, but we were very committed, I thought. So anyways, I had moved out of our apartment and moved back in with my parents because I had broken up with him after I lost the baby, because then I found out all the details and
Right.
needed to leave that experience. So moving back in, but I remember this one time I just collapsed on my parents' bed and just cried like a lot, and just asked God why. And then, so I dealt with it alone. If I could go back and I could advocate for myself, I would have probably asked someone to help me get therapy through it, because it was a very traumatic experience. But instead of therapy, I turned to substances, alcohol. I started drinking a lot, even though I was 19. Obviously, I figured out a way to do that. So that was a difficult time. That was a very difficult time. I had a full-time job, so I wasn't like an alcoholic or anything, but when I had an opportunity to go out, I would. And I would use it excessively in the times that I did use alcohol. And it took me a while to get out of that. And I would say I don't use alcohol really at all. Maybe one or two drinks now every like once or twice a month. So that is not part of my life. But I've also done a lot of layers of healing, right? Like, I don't even, like, I look back at even just 10 years ago, 2014, when I started this journey, and when I met you in 2015, I don't even feel like the same person. I feel like that was a lifetime ago. Like, who is that girl? I look at pictures and I was 130 pounds heavier and wounded and lonely and scared. And I have my 3 kids, right? So, the healing did help. I do have 3 amazing sons.
Amazing.
I just adore them. They're just everything to me. They are my true joy. They're my true north. They're everything to me. So God knew exactly the timing and what he was doing. So back to your question, remind me what that was, because I feel like I'm going off.
Well, no, I love this. I like it off the cuff. It's not scripted. It's, did you recognize in that time that you had to regulate your nervous system, and how did you do it? Like, I get it. Right, you didn't.
Didn't regulate it. I didn't know what to do. I was very alone, and I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't feel like I had anyone to talk to, because there was so much, I felt so much shame for myself, that what I did, how I embarrassed my family, no one, I asked my parents, I'm like, how come we didn't ever talk about it? And they're like, it was painful for us too. And I was like, okay, it was painful for you, but imagine what I'm going through.
Right.
But I'm also very good at hiding my pain and putting a smile on, getting back to work, keeping myself busy, and then just dealing with my pain in private. And so that's just what I did, right? It's just like you pick yourself back up and, okay, this happened to you, and keep going. Just keep going.
So can I ask you a personal question?
Of course.
I'm just feeling guided. So I know that you've been with Thomas for over 25 years. So when you met him, had you told him about this, and was he supportive, or was he like your parents and really didn't want to talk about it? Because I don't think we've ever talked about it.
I didn't push too much onto him. I told him about my history, but it didn't affect him because I didn't bring that to the relationship. What I did bring to the relationship was insecurity and low self-esteem. And I would say that probably, losing a son, feeling, that this person was dishonest with me, did lower my self-esteem pretty considerably, because I was always a very confident girl. But I did question myself a lot, and I ended up making, until I met Tom, I made some pretty iffy choices in relationships.
Okay, so what we've learned about weight is that it's energy. And so what effect would have losing the twins had on your energy? And how do you perceive, like looking back on, yes, you were 130 pounds heavier than you are today. Like this has been the biggest transformation.
Yeah.
In I think in your life, right? Like I've known you now 15 years. And this is the biggest one, and you were committed to it, and you just set it, like you set the goal and you did not stop until you attained it. And so during that time was when I lost my parents, so we were a little bit more detached. Now we're coming back together again. But during that time, Debbie, how did the loss of that, or like what fracture did that have on the weight? Or were there other elements that brought the weight on?
Well, the weight came on over the last 20 years. And I think where it's connected is that it started in 2001 when I got married in 2000, and then I wanted to have a baby. And in 2001-ish is when I started infertility medication. And so that, I believe, is when the weight started coming on, and the stress of my body not responding well to it. And so over that year's time, I would say the weight started coming on, but it wasn't excessive. It didn't start coming on until I got pregnant. But then I lost the weight. I lost like 40 pounds right after I had Luke. And then the weight came back on as I became a mom, right? Because I don't know if it was just the expectations I put on myself, the stress, the comfortability. I don't know.
Probably
But
a little bit of everything, right? Because we've learned weight is energy, and it's that energy, or whatever. Like you said, it could have been a little bit of everything.
When I talk about it, and when I'm in your energy right now, what's coming to me is insecurity. I think my soul's mission here is self-worth and feeling like I'm enough. And I feel like having that experience of losing a baby, having God, I felt like God took him away from me, took the opportunity, like I wasn't good enough. And so that's probably why I chose relationships, to continue to prove that to myself. You're not good enough. People aren't going to choose you. And that's probably why the weight came on. Obviously, I think there's chemical imbalances in there with the meds and things like that, but emotionally and protecting myself, because when you have a child, people also want to suggest that you should do things with your child, or you may not be doing things right. And being a new mom, wanting to be your best and do your best, and not always knowing if you are. And at the time, I didn't know whose expectations I was supposed to meet. And now, being a mom of a 16-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 22-year-old, I meet my own expectations. And so that's part of the healing, right? And so I went through, in 2015, when I met you, I was going through another bout of, like, I would say kind of depression. I remember being at that healing retreat we met at, and sitting there around, I was at a picnic table inside the main room, and all these women are talking. I felt like this. so alone. I ended up leaving lunch and going and crying and having like a bout of crying because I felt so alone. I didn't fit in. Again, self-worth. Here,
Right.
I paid all this money to be at a healing retreat, and I didn't feel worthy to be there or to even fit in with these other women who were also there to heal. But I was so in my head. So I feel like that until I can truly get connected to what self-worth is and what that means to me and God, that's still part of my healing journey. And I feel
Oh,
like that's why the rupture happened,
yeah.
because that's my journey. It's my soul's
Right.
journey.
And you do have three amazing young men. You are an amazing mother. You are a loyal and devoted wife. You are rooted in your faith, and you are rooted in who you are. Like, Debbie, you know who you are and what you want. Like, definitely when I think of you, you're very, when you make a decision, it's made. Like, you're not wishy-washy.
Yeah.
I think that that's amazing. What would you say was the defining moment in making the decision to start your weight release journey?
It was February 19th. I told myself, you're going to invest in yourself now. Um, and I just committed to it. I was tired of talking about it. I was tired of feeling sorry for myself. I was tired of wondering, um, just all of these insecure things that I was dealing with. And I was looking at pictures of myself and I'm like, people tell you how beautiful you are, but why don't you feel that way? And
Right.
I think what it was, I saw my sister and I didn't know that she was taking any medication or anything like that. And when I saw her, I was like, whoa, what are you doing that you're not telling me about? And she told me. And so then I was like, well, she's my sister. And if she can do it, I can do it. And I'm going to do this. And when I made a financial commitment, it was a commitment because once I put money on the table for myself, it's going to
Right.
stay there. And I worked with my nurse practitioner, and the medication does what it does, but I had to do the rest. I had to stay committed to it. I had to eat really, really well. I still do. And I've never felt so good in my life. And it's not just because of losing the weight, it's because of also the supplements and the food that I now enjoy and appreciate. And I just have a whole different outlook
But
on.
that's the thing. When I think back, because I've had the blessing of being with you many times, your house used to be where I used to come and hang my hat when I came to Arizona. And you always ate good.
Mhm.
So, if I may be so bold, you not only lost weight, what else did you lose with the 130 pounds? Or can you see it as
It's not completely gone, but the people pleasing part of me is less. I have a lot more confidence. I went and got a job and left the nest a bit and not separated myself from my family, but I had been working from home for 8 years
right?
for Dressing Your Truth, right? So I always wanted to be available to my family, and I was afraid of missing out on anything that was going on with my kids. So when I started out, I was even worried. I remember getting that job and going, oh, I can only do 10 hours. I don't want to be away from my family. And my son's 16. But I was just like, I don't want to miss anything. And then the more and more I got into this retail job, I was like, oh, I have me back. And the
Right.
confidence it built in me was amazing. I got to help people again and be surrounded by women that I didn't even know that came into the store, and I got to meet them and hear their stories and help them feel good. Because let me tell you, when women get into a fitting room, it's not always a great place for them to be, right? That insecurities come out in waves, and it brought back experiences when I was 12 years old with my mom. And when she would be in a fitting room and I would be with her and she would be trying on her khaki
Yeah.
pants, and how she would say her bum was too big. And I'm like, well, even then I was like, well, you're wearing the wrong colors. Be so big, right?
Right.
I didn't say it like that. I was like,
No, but I understand because
but I've
you
always
had
had that even since I was like a young girl, I was always looking at how I could help women feel better. Right. And so I believe that also stems from my own self-worth. If I feel like if I can help people see who they really are in and out of a fitting room or their closet, it transforms really your mindset. It's not just about the clothes.
right. And so I also noticed, because I follow you on Instagram, during that time you did bring in the angels. Like, we've learned invoking the archangels and their colors and how color, like, that's why I was joking about the black at the beginning
Yeah.
of at the top of the podcast, because black is such a dark energy. I mean, even in any energy healing, they want us to wear white because it's pure, and it's like that. It's a very pure color, but we also know each color has a particular resonance. Like the pink is self-love and it's very nurturing, and the yellow is bright like sunshine and your power center. And so how did you, because I really feel like when we talk regulation, people don't realize how profound an effect color has. Can you speak a little bit to that? Because like you are so, like, you are so experienced on this, because you were able to bring so much of what you've walked through to that period of your life.
Yeah, so I was also, and I also had found this program called Dressing Your Truth, and that's what taught me more about color. I always, because I was wearing a lot of black. I remember going to Marcy Kagan's healing retreat, and I was wearing all black, and even though it said "Love Hippie" on the shirt, it did nothing for me. And so then I explored to see what else was out there. And this book, actually, it was a book that came to my mind, and it was all about style and everything, but it was about energy of color. And I was like, oh, that looks interesting. So I started reading it. I was like, oh my gosh, I know exactly who I am. In her book, I'm a type 1, which is bubbly and effervescent and light and bright and all that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's totally me. And I love these, and I love butterflies, and I love rainbows, and I love animated things and polka dots, and I love wearing all those things. So I was like, this is it. And so I dove deep into that program, and I live it and I breathe it and I own it. But I also was learning about angels at the same time. So, I mean, there is no mistakes ever, right? Like, God really knew what he was doing with my healing journey. It wasn't just about healing me from James and that experience. It was also, okay, now we're going to introduce you to Sunny Dawn Johnston and we're going to teach you about angels and spirituality and trusting your intuition and learning how to trust your intuition. Now we're also going to introduce you to an energy healer named Carol, who's going to teach you about color and chakras. And I mean, it's like literally I went from Christianity, which I still is my base, but to like a colorful array of healing tools that are part of my life. So color is a healing tool for me personally.
But you also learned I don't know, the types that people are.
Yeah,
because you're always trying to figure me out. Like, I love jewel tones, but I do resonate a lot with being a type 1, but we never really plunked me in an energy type, because I'm kind of one of those chameleons, really, if you think about it.
Well, I know that you're not type 4. And I know that black is like my mom is a type 4. And black isn't a bad color.
No, I know.
It's just a very still color. And when you are not, if someone is not still energy and their face isn't like a rectangle, like Carol teaches that's her baby, right? So I'm not going to teach it. But like I can just say, for example, my mom is a type 4, stunning in black, stunning. And it's grounding. It's a grounding color for her. It would be a terrible color for me because it would make, it's like a business card. It's a calling card, right? people see you coming and they feel your energy, and it confuses them. If I'm like this and I'm like, da, 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 and I'm wearing black, and they're like, energetically, I'm either like repelling them or I'm bringing them in. And that's where the energy comes in, right? So it is color, but she also talks about other elements. And that's what got my attention, because color is one of the elements, but she also teaches about the texture of the
The
clothing.
texture, right.
And, so I do, crisp color,
Right.
light, right, but then also crisp. But I also do have my darker colors. I have my, my bright navy and my dark chocolate brown. So those are my grounding colors that I personally wear that she teaches. But I would encourage anyone, if they want to learn about energy healing, but also have the aspect of learning what clothing works for them, start with that, and just really dive into it and have your own experience. And because it's been a big part of my healing.
Oh yeah. Would you say, Deb, that was part of your regulation of your nervous system? Like, that's how powerful it is, right?
It's that powerful. And then in 2017, I started working for her for 8 years. And so I got to really be very close to Carol, and learn how to, and be part of her facial profiling experience, and being able to watch women transform was magical to me. And so that's part of why I also enjoy sales and retail and styling and doing readings, is because I've learned these different tools to be able to support others, which also has supported me. It's pretty magical.
It really is, because when I think of energy, even within this reclamation through grace, it is so powerful to be rooted in color and in who you are as an energetic being, and portraying your authentic self out into the world. Like, if you were to go to Debbie's Instagram, what's your handle, Debbie, on Instagram?
It's just at Debbie Labinski.
At Debbie Labinski. You can go and see, everybody, just how amazing this woman dresses, like impeccable. I'm going to joke with her, because I've never told her this, but she's like a Real Housewife of Scottsdale, because I mean, just gorgeous. Debbie, gorgeous, like gorgeous, you guys. And it just allows all of us to recognize the potential that we all have to bring our energy out into the world. Like, we don't have to dress like old ladies. Like, I'm 10 years older than Deb, but I like to dress lively. And because I do, people don't think I'm as old as I am. And I always just say thank you, because I've learned to be gracious. And it is so important, because the truth of the matter is, all of this ties back to grace. That
Absolutely.
God gave us all of these colors and textures and elements in the world to bring into our life when we're dealing with a fracture, such as the loss of a child, which is one of the greatest losses a human can go through. Or like I went through the loss of my parents, which I think is the second greatest loss. Like, that doesn't negate any other losses, our friends, because losing a job or a dream or whatever, it's hard. Life, there are patches of hard. And even though we don't affirm hard, we recognize that all of this, right? There are revelations that God, the divine, will bring us, that the connection to the angels will help us, that their vibrations, like I'm feeling even today in wearing the burgundy, I'm like, why do I feel so guided the last few days to burgundy? Well, it's because last week I was in so much grief, because it does come up. And that's why I asked Debbie, even however many years this is post James, we're still healing layers. They come up at the most interesting times. And when you recognize that you can have this rupture, and then you can look to the divine for clarity, and recognize we need to like calm our nervous system with regulating it, and then rooting in the divine, like Debbie said, her and her children and her husband go to church, and they're probably the most beautiful family in the church. And then recognizing we can rebuild our lives at any time. So I know that you are rebuilding your life as this beautiful, not that you weren't beautiful before, but when I look at your pictures, Deb, I do feel a sadness that when we were there, I probably knew, but I'm in more of an awareness now because I can feel your energy, and because I've been with you a couple of times in the last year, I can feel the difference. Like, it is so much lighter, you guys. It is really amazing. Can you maybe talk to that, Debbie, in, what has your soul learned through the release of 130 pounds? And what words of advice would you even have to me that I'm still like on this journey?
I would say keep choosing yourself every single morning. I really commit to doing mirror work, which is Louise Hay. So I talk to myself every single morning and every single night before I go to bed. And I tell myself how beautiful I am and how much I love myself. And I was doing that even when I was heavier, right? I've always done that. So I don't know if that helped me release the pain and the weight. I would just say stay consistent to yourself. I think it's easy to take on what others think we could be doing. Oh, just go eat whatever you want and go do this. Or you can eat this today. Come on, don't leave me out. Have a bite of this and have a bite of that. No, I have been doing that my whole life. Oh, I can do this and I can do that. No, but it didn't make me feel good.
Right.
I didn't feel good. My stomach wouldn't feel good. I would get bloated. I would feel inflamed. I would get sick. And I just was doing it because I didn't want to let anybody down or hurt someone's feelings because they made something. And I believe that the more self-love that I have and that I commit to myself literally daily, and I committed to God because I told him I'm doing this, and I trust that this is the right divine time because I'm investing money in this.
See, I
And
think one of the things in Canada that we're missing, and if I may just share a little bit, you went to a nurse practitioner for the year, right? So you had support, because yesterday, even in one of the Costco groups I'm in, my friend Carrie was asking people, because in Canada, Ozempic, not the Mounjaro, but Ozempic now, there's a generic. And so all kinds of people want to jump on the bandwagon. And she said she was scared. That's a missing link that I think that we don't have in Canada. And even in my own journey, which a lot of people probably don't know, but I did try Ozempic for 9 months. It was after my mom died, and it was not the right time. I puked almost every day and probably lost a pound. Like, it wasn't anything. So then, knowing Debbie's journey, I said to my doctor before she left last July, please let me try Mounjaro. But Debbie, they have been so stringent. I had to practically beg them to move me up to 12.5, which I'm going to start Monday. But I mean, it hasn't been easy, and it's so slow that I almost had given up. And then I heard my angel say, no. And even in mentoring the other night, Sunny said to me, not that she knows about the Mounjaro, however, I just said, like, I have 8 pounds left before they will book my surgery. And so I've just been like hyper focused on this, on 8 pounds, Deb. Like, I almost feel like the noose is around my neck. And so I feel like I'm stalled.
Well,
like,
cut that noose is what I would suggest.
Yeah.
Right? Like, cut that noose. There is no noose. That is.
I know, but that's why I needed you today, because
And
I'm like,
you just have to commit to yourself and not, like, that's the thing. When I started the medication, I remember telling you, I don't know if I'm going to tell anyone. I don't want the judgment and all of that. And I was reading other people's comments. And when I started having my own personal experience, I was like, it doesn't matter what anyone thinks of me. It never has mattered what anyone thought of me. What is important is what God thinks of me. And God is providing this for me. I truly feel he's provided the financial means for me to be able to do it. He's provided me the consistency, because I am not a very consistent person. when it comes to food. I easily would fall off the wagon, right? In so many words. And I would just go willy-nilly with things. And I felt it so strongly in my gut that this was the right thing for me. And once I made that decision, it was just like I made a commitment because I said to myself, if I could take fertility medication and not worry about people judging me for being, having issues with trying to conceive children, what the heck am I worried about people thinking of me that I'm now taking medication to get rid of the weight that I've been carrying for almost 20 years?
And that's the thing that,
it's really no one's business.
Exactly.
To worry about what they think of me. I don't need to worry if they thought I was too fat or too thin or anything. It's not, my self-worth is not based off of what anyone thinks of me. And that's part of the healing for me, right? Through all of this. Because if you look back at when I was 19, I carried a lot of shame and blame. And I've been carrying that through. It just showed up in different ways, in different relationships, gaining weight, eating, making excuses, drinking alcohol, whatever it is. And I'm not perfect. I still, make mistakes. But when it came to my weight, I said, this is it. This is it. I'm not going to I was so driven to be a mom. Now I am so driven to be myself and to be what I felt like on the inside. Because what I saw on the outside at 259 pounds, which is what I weighed the day that I started this medication, I looked like this in my mind. And I still dress similarly, right? It's not like I changed the way that I dressed. I just looked differently in the clothes. And so it was just like, finally, choose yourself. Visualize who you want to be. What does that look like? And then, damn it, get to it, right? Like, commit yourself. Because if you're going to commit yourself for others, like I committed myself to become a mom, why can't I commit as strongly to being my true self, which is I set out to be a size 10. That was where I was at before having children. And that was my goal. I've exceeded that goal and I feel better than I did as a size 10, right? So just trust yourself. I would say that's probably the biggest thing is if you're going to commit to yourself, then write a contract between you and God and say, I'm committing to myself and this is where I want to be. And if you want me to exceed that, then it's God's will and he will help me.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It's been very hard. It's been very hard with the loss.
And I think that's part of the mindset is I told myself this isn't going to be hard. It started out hard. And the minute I started seeing the scale go down, I told myself, this is so easy.
And Debbie, now in my Facebook memories, I've been seeing myself, and even in the mirror, like I'm in between sizes again. I'm like a 14, 16 now, and I started at 24, Deb. So and I was heavier than you, and so I know how far I've come. I'm so close, and it's almost like that self-sabotage.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is that's part of our self-worth, right? That's part of our healing journey. And our body hears us. And these spiritual teachers that tell us that, I was like, yeah, sure. No, it's true. Because when I remember telling my nurse practitioner at the time, Lindsay is her name. I'm not seeing her anymore. I'm on my own and I have been after 10 months. But when I started to see things happen, I just kept telling myself, this is so easy. Losing this weight is so easy. Like picking out my whole foods and making my meals, this is so easy. I changed my mindset. I changed the way that I spoke about the experience. And it made it easier for me. And the weight just started coming off easier. So I think instead of, you're not asking for my advice, but I would say
I am. I am because like I want
the needle for me as I just kept saying, this is so easy. And I wish I would have known that when I was trying to conceive children, because I have a feeling if I would have told myself how easy it is to conceive children instead of, oh, I've lost a baby. This is going to be scary. This is going to be a struggle. I'm scared. Well,
Well,
my
you
body
know,
responded to that. I was
it's
scared.
interesting because in mentoring 2 weeks ago, she had us ask ourselves, how good can it get? And so every time I'm going to go somewhere, or even like every day, even lately, Polo's been saying, oh, you look so beautiful. Because every day I say, how good can it get? Like for everything, how good can I look? Or how good can this day be? Or whatever, how good can it get? And so I am. However, I feel like there's a part in my personality that has an unworthiness that I'm not sure what I'm scared of should I attain my goal. I haven't figured that out yet because I've never been like your size ever in my entire life.
I've never been this size.
Well, and
Maybe
I
when
want
I
to
was
be.
like in 6th grade, 7th grade,
Even
definitely
me,
didn't.
even back then, like that's the thing. I've always, I joke that when my mom had me, I was 5 pounds, and then they fattened me up, and I stayed there. And then having infertility and all of the emotionality in my life, I just was the person that people would come and share their stories, and I would suck up all their energy, and they would leave feeling great, and I would feel heavy. And even when I became a new teacher, I thought I had to fix change or make things better. Now I know how to hold space.
Yeah.
And so I don't need to absorb other people's energy. And I do have boundaries. And I finally am figuring them out. Like, it's okay. You can stand in this boundary. And when it comes to myself, I've always put myself last.
That's the thing. I put
I
myself,
know that
but it took a long time to put myself first. And when I put myself first, it was again, it was a slow, it was like a slow thing,
I
right?
really love that you said about your job because I've been thinking about that a lot. Tomorrow I'm going to a goddess day. And so I said to Paulo last night, we had to drop off the car at the shop. So I was with him. I said, take me to Torrid. I want to go get something new. And as I was there, they were saying to apply for a job. And I said, are you telling me I should maybe apply for a job? Like, because I'm so consumed by helping Paulo with his business and helping Paulie with all his stuff and supporting other communities, which I've loved. However, my main focus is supporting Sunny and growing my own now. Like I said to Sunny, I never want to leave her community because not having a mother in physical, I need the support. Like it's my safe place to be and to support. And I love the way that, she has soul, self, and service. That's so me. And I know how to be in that community. And I've had to like disconnect from others with love. It hasn't been bad. It's good because I want to become this version. But can you also tell me, was there, what dose of the medicine did you say worked the best?
Well, I went all the way to 17 milligrams.
You did.
To be
Did you
able to
feel okay?
I felt great. I felt great the whole time. That's the thing. That's why I was able to up my dose, because my body has responded to it extremely well. Like every once in a while get a little nausea, but I would recognize the reason why the nausea came on is number one, I didn't eat enough, and I would drink a really clean electrolyte to help me get that back up, get going. And I eat a lot of protein. I eat a lot of wild caught salmon and wild albacore and things like that. And I crave it. And I've found some alternative things that make me feel really good that are really high protein. And that's helped me, to really focus on what am I enjoying? What makes me feel good? And when I get bloated, I know that I just ate something that probably doesn't need to be in my diet. And so this is really turning off the food noise has helped me recognize what things I'm putting in my body that were making me not feel so good.
Right.
And so I don't have the nausea as much as I used to in the beginning because I was learning back about myself. I've made myself a priority. I focus so much on me and listening to my body and feeling into my body. And that, I think that's part of the ticket, right? Is the golden ticket. It's okay, well, how much are we not truly listening to our inner spirit? And that means that we're not committing to ourselves daily. If we're not truly, we start out our day, right? We have like our thing where we're okay, I'm going to start out here, but then actually throughout the day, it's like we start giving out other things to other people and we stop giving to ourselves. Oh, I'll give you, Debbie, I'll give you some attention and listen, listen to your spirit in the morning and at night. But for the next 10 and a half or 11 hours, you're going to go do everything for everybody else and you're going to put yourself last. Well, you can't just bookend making yourself first. You need to continue to make yourself first throughout the day. And then people will respond to that and your body responds to that because it consistently feels important. Your mind, your spirit feels important all day long instead of only getting small bite-sized pieces of your trust in your own spirit. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I hear you. It's like I have these good intentions in the morning. I do live intentionally. And then Polly will do something and then it'll like fluster you for a few. So I get it. And then
it pulls you back out.
yes. And then
And
you have to
have
pull
to work
yourself
really
back
hard.
in again.
Yeah, it's like that. I visualize. Have you ever seen these shows where these people are like Velcroed in and they're on these bouncy things and they're running, but then it pulls them right back. And they're really strong. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's like kind of shocking. Why do you have to do that throughout the day? Why can't you just take those steps and just stay in your own energy consistently and really making that a priority? And when something does come at you, you're grounded within your own self-love that those things aren't going to upset us so much, right? We won't get so bothered. We won't get so pulled out, which means then we're not looking for outside sources like food or alcohol or whatever that person's choice is, right? I say drug of choice because food
right. Absolutely. Food is a drug.
It is, And so it's just about just really committing consistently throughout every single day and every moment and making it your priority just as much as we make other people a priority. And I think that's why I've had the success. I'm not going to say that the medication, I'm going to give it the credit that it's due. I just don't know how much of it I'm supposed to give credit. So I'm going to take full credit.
Oh, absolutely. Because you did all the work, Debbie. It was just a tool. Absolutely. You worked hard, like you changed your whole life. You went to a full-time job after working from home and, everything, the transition, absolutely. That is exactly where the GLP-1 should be. It's a tool. It's not a magic. It's, you still have to, you're the one that's in control of your mind, in control of your heart, in control of your environment. And that takes me to the next thing. Before we talk about the radiance, I just want to say, everything is energy. And when you make the choice to change your life and you have the courage to make the choices to change your life, that means that people have to go. And that is taking stock of where are you putting your energy. This week in Mastermind, Sunny had us look at where are we over giving, overextending, over loving. And so that was powerful for me to recognize, oh my goddess, I've given a lot of myself away, a lot. And I had to sit with the why. That was a big revelation for me. Why, G, are you continuously, even now, putting your energy X, Y, and Z? And I needed to really look at myself in the mirror. And it came back to that wanting to be liked again, wanting to fit in. And so I am right now, like I'm breathing even through it. That's the regulation of my nervous system. That's why I'm committed to doing the work. That's why I'm so grateful that you chose to be with me today, Debbie, because you don't recognize, a lot of people don't recognize, more people are admiring you than they give you credit for, especially on social media these days. People, I don't know, like there's no reactions, hardly any reactions. And yet people are watching. And I know for me, because my intention is always to be the change that I want to see in the world, and also have my own experience and sharing the light. Like, I love help. I love having lighthouses to look to and say, you know what, she did it, I can do it too. And there's been two of you and Brandy, like from where we all were to where the two of you are now. I'm like, I got to do this. It's got to be like the three amigas kind of thing. Not because I'm comparing my journey, because everybody's had their own, and everybody is different.
Yeah.
And so I want people to hear us. Yes, we all go through our own fractures. Yes, we all got to figure out what clarity is the divine bringing us, and how are we going to root our own, our own energy into faith, or Mother Earth, or the sun, the moon, and the stars. Whatever it is, you need to root yourself as you rebuild your life. Like, Debbie, you are in a rebuilding, like you're in this constant transformation, and still working on, like, eating well and thinking well, and, tapping into the mind, body, spirit, and the angels' support. And so before we go, how would you say you're shining your light out in the world? And how can people, if they want to connect with you, how can they find you?
Well, they can find me on Instagram mostly, or if you prefer Facebook. Facebook, I think it's at Debbie A. Labinski, and then on Instagram, it's at Debbie Labinski. And you can DM me or email me at debbielabinski@gmail.com if you want to connect. I do spiritual advisor readings and mentoring, but if you're looking just to get guidance on your style and your image and how to go about that, we can work on that as well. What was the other question you had?
How are you shining your light out in the world right now?
I'm just showing up as myself, my authentic self daily. I do my best to just show up effortlessly and just talk about what's going on in my life. It's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies, but it's my life and it's part of my journey. And then just consistently talk about how much I'm committed to myself and that it's not a selfish thing to do.
No, actually, what we've learned through all these years of self-love is that self-love is divine love. It's recognizing that the divine lives and reigns in you, and you are meant to be abundant, and you are meant to shine your light out in the world. And we all have come here as these spirit embodied to have experiences, and we shine brighter together when we share our hearts. And when you are authentic and you're transmitting your frequency out in the world, not me trying to be Debbie or trying to be anybody else, and it doesn't serve you. Look, we all get into that comparison trap. I had told Debbie, not this past time, but the last time that I went to Arizona, I was actually scared to go see her because I hadn't gotten as far as she did. And then I recognized, but look at my journey. It was different. There was a lot of loss, profound loss. And then I had gained some weight because life was heavy. And so, you guys, we're just here to say, if you need us, reach out. We're happy to be of service. I want to thank Debbie for showing up today, for shining your light, for being my beautiful soul sister, for loving me and seeing me and really giving me this opportunity to share you out with art, because I'm streaming on Shine Sisters today as well, but this is going to live on YouTube. So if you guys love this or you're going to watch us on the replay, please let us know, because if you want to see us again, you never know. We love shining our light, and together we all have a particular magic together. You guys, we're meant, there's that Rumi saying, we're all just walking each other home. And Debbie has had an amazing journey. There's so much that she didn't share today. If you need to find her, again, Debbie Labinski. I think she's Debbie A. Labinski for her biz page on Facebook, and Debbie Labinski on Instagram. Go follow her, because you want a dose of sunshine, you're going to get it with her. Okay. And if you want a reading, also reach out. She's also a powerful medium. We didn't talk about that today. However, you guys, she brings through such beautiful messages when you need to hear them, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for all
Thank
of
you.
that.
Thank you, everybody. Have a beautiful and blessed weekend. And until next time, peace, love, and light. Bye, everybody.